Welcome, family. My name is Elizabeth, and I will be your game master for this particular episode. With me today are...
Tyler.
Ebony.
Regan.
And Luke.
And they are going to be my lovely and hopefully well-behaved, semi-well-behaved players.
Not at all.
We are going to be journeying together into a world of monsters under mountains and shadows hidden in valleys. We are going to be entering the world of the Old Gods of Appalachia, which is a podcast owned by Deep Nerd Media and certainly not us. If everyone would like to introduce their characters.
Great. I'm Tyler. I'll be playing Emerson Holster, who is an honourable speaker who shares the ways and signs.
And I'll be playing Paisley Holster, who's a sharp-eyed midwife who cures what ails ya.
Ooh. I'm Regan. I will be playing Kerrigan. No last name. I'm a tongue-tied logger who manifests the mountain.
Ooh, exciting, spooky. Who does that?
I will be starring as Orville Ope. He is a superstitious writer who cannot escape the darkness.
A little scared baby.
Alrighty, shall we get down to brass tacks?
Yeah, absolutely.
We will first pull back and hover over these hills, hollers, cricks, and mountains. A place of gods and monsters. But of course, that's not really any of our business. We instead will be zooming in to the town of Baker's Gap, and then out a little bit to the south, to a small house, on a small patch of property, ramshackle, and yet a home to many over many, many years. This was the home of Granny Paig Holster. It is now the home of our humble party. Granny Paig Holster passed away about a week or so ago and was buried yesterday. I think we will first begin with a simple question to introduce each of our characters. So, Tyler, how does Emerson start his day?
Emerson starts his day by getting up. He washes his face in his wash basin. He does a quick shave, just to tighten up the facial hair. He takes a look in a nice mirror, and he's sort of like, if he was a sim, he'd do the pep talk action and be like, he'd be like, all right, let's get down to it. And then he heads out, and I think he hits the day hard and fast. He's got tasks to do. He takes that moment in the mirror to think about what he's got to do that day, and then he sets out to do it. He's a very straightforward, matter-of-fact man.
I love that. I love that very much. Certainly, starting your day early is a key part of the Holster household. Just absolutely shouted into you by Granny Paig Holster. Of course, never call her Paig. She's only Granny Holster.
Absolutely.
Or mammal.
Or mammal.
And of course, speaking of mammals...
So we buried her yesterday?
Just yesterday.
I think because I would have been the only other person living in the house at the time.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think Paisley is still having... I think the routine of the day is still kind of unsure and uneven with this kind of like gaping hole in her life. But likewise, like there's still things I gotta get done. In my day, I still gotta get up and I gotta, sweep the porch and feed the chickens and, do all the tasks. So I think she's kind of just going through the motions of that a little bit, tending to the garden, up early and just making sure that the daily tasks are done. But I think there's not quite as much heart in it as there may have been previously.
Yeah. I think an interesting visual change to your morning, and perhaps the most jarring thing following Granny's death, is that she actually specified that she be buried on the property. So, when you're doing your gardening, there is now a mound of fresh earth. A witch's body is a powerful, powerful thing, and Granny Holster was around for a very long time and made a lot of friends and a lot of enemies. So to be buried in her home turf behind her wards and protections was something very important to her. And so there is just this very grim reminder quite literally in your backyard.
Like, how traumatic was, like, her death? Did she die of old age?
I think we'll get to that in a moment.
no.
I think we'll meet everyone, and then also just so that we know who was there on the night as well. And so with that, I think we'll move to our lovely Kerrigan.
I'm not part of the regular household. I'm more of a...
In a related way.
Yeah, I'm not blood related to anyone. I don't think I live in the house either. I think I have my own little
Cottage?
shack.
Shack. I was about to say cottage is a bit fancy
Bit
for these
fancy
parts.
for the likes of me. So I wake up slowly with the sun and meander about on my own a little bit. Take some time making a cup of tea.
In no rush, really, to get down to the homestead to deal with
I don't know.
everyone.
Everyone's having a lot of feelings. It's very hard to be around that place at the moment. So I'm
Also,
probably
like,
just-
there are, 2 additional people in the house to what has been for the last who knows how long?
and that is approximately 5 people too many. So
Yeah.
I'm just having a slow cup of tea sitting on like a mossy log outside my cabin,
Yeah.
which is my favorite chair.
Love that. That's actually really cute. And finally, our very frightened Orville Ope.
Yeah. Orville probably wakes up with a start.
In his childhood bedroom.
In his childhood
are you staying with
bedroom.
us right
yeah,
now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's staying.
What does his... Is it bare? Are there any of his old belongings there? Was it when he left? How much did he leave behind? How fast was his exit from the Holster house?
I think maybe a bit quick, so there's a lot of old memorabilia.
Scattered pages and things.
Yeah.
And Granny always knew you'd be back, so
yeah.
like
Yeah.
Yeah,
She always held out hope.
that's it. But he exits his room as quick as possible, getting all his things, goes straight.
I've been up for hours
Yeah.
at this. Like,
Yeah, I think that you and Emerson have been up.
We're having breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've cleaned, we've done chores, made breakfast, and we're just sat at the dining table.
And here
silently.
comes
Waiting for
City
you.
Boy.
Here comes the city boy, and he goes straight for a coffee and a cigarette, and then has that like outside, and then just strolls and paces around the property, but
doesn't
Not-
step outside the
does
door.
not
Yeah,
step
like
out
there
at
are
all.
safe paths through
Yeah.
the wards, and many of them certainly would not affect a member of the family, of which Kerrigan has been, inducted as. So like, you don't need to use the secret uninvited guests entrance, which is way round the back and kind of scary, to be
Yeah.
perfectly honest. Which you did for the first few years until Granny was
until I earned my way
decided.
in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then she decided that you weren't really going anywhere. So you don't have to worry as much about the wards, but there are a couple, and maybe this was just a cruel joke by Granny, but there are coloured stones that that mark the various wards and runes hidden throughout.
Well, I mean, they're not really hidden if they've got a coloured stone.
Maybe they're just like a
Yeah.
kind of green rock and a
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of red rock.
I was going to say, the ones you need to watch out for are the kind of red rocks, which
Painted
allegedly
bright red
affect...
with the word ward on it.
yeah.
Danger! Danger!
Nice little skull. No, they're coloured in the sense of they're naturally a certain shade, but there is a pattern. And I mean, you would notice it if you knew it was there. If you didn't, they're just rocks in a yard. But allegedly, not that anyone's been game enough to ever test it out, the red ones will kill you on the spot and will affect anyone, family or not. It's also possible that they do nothing at all. It may be as simple as if you stepped on one, it would be like being flicked in the face. But who really wants to test that out? It might turn you inside out. It might boil the blood in your body. It could fire you 100 meters back. It's not exactly the thing you fuck about with. And Granny said it was dangerous, so we work under the assumption.
Yeah, that's it.
I love that. You're taking your meandering walk, and I think you see, as bizarre as it is, there are still signs of the night that Granny died, because there was something very odd that night, and so I think we will wind back. It wasn't stormy. it wasn't dark. It was a normal night, with a couple of small exceptions. Kerrigan, you went to leave, and Granny stopped you, sitting on her rocking chair on the porch. And she looked kind of at peace, which is not an expression Granny Holster is known for.
So that's
She's
strange.
a very stressed woman. She just gently placed a hand on your arm as you went by and said, "I wouldn't be going home tonight. I think you should stay a little bit longer for some tea, darling."
Oh, the sun's set. Might be time.
And I'm just saying, tonight you're staying back for tea. Orville's bed has been made up for years. The sheets may be a little bit dusty by this point, but I think tonight you're staying, and I'm insistent.
Well, I can't argue with that.
No, you can't. Off you go. And other than that, it passed mostly normal. She sat on the porch and she rocked, and you could hear that ever squeaking chair. No matter how much oil was added to it, no matter if it was replaced, that thing
Glue,
just...
extra nails.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that thing
Kerrigan's
just...
constantly at it.
Every day.
There are several things in that house that seem to be completely unfixable.
Right.
There is a door towards the laundry that just practically howls when you move it. No one can sneak in this house. There's a floorboard that creaks like a crying baby, and there is a radio that, frankly, at this point is practically an entirely brand new radio. You've fixed pieces of it so many times, and every time something else breaks.
So when I go back inside to stay for tea, I just sit in a chair and stare at that door that screams every time it opens. So I'm like, all right,
Tonight's the night that you don't.
what do you need from me? How do I do this?
This house is very much a ship of Theseus.
Yep.
And you have replaced so much of
Most of
it. And yet these same things.
It's like they're going,
Imagine you with a cup of tea in your hand doing that. Just
Yeah.
like, why?
yeah, literally that.
Yeah.
Was Emerson at the house that night?
Yeah, because ever since leaving my job at the railway,
Leaving is one word for it.
leaving after a polite disagreement,
Another set of words for
and
it.
starting to like work for the union. No longer had lodgings paid for by the railway, and so moved in with Granny. But I think it was very, very near to. It's only been like 3-4 weeks maybe
Yeah.
Okay.
since that's happened.
And Orville is still out of town.
Orville is still out
You're
of
still
town.
in the city.
In fact, Orville, your life is going better than ever in the city.
Really?
I didn't know that could happen for
Enjoyed
you.
moderate success. You're making money
As a writer,
as a writer.
The penny's
In
about to drop at
1938?
any time.
Yeah, like you've certainly grown up to expect that at any time.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't stay good for long in the
Yeah.
world of Orville.
That's
Orville's just like straight checking over his shoulder.
Yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
I'm gonna get mugged. Something's gonna happen.
Yeah. Oh, I've written.
Never wears the nice suit or
No.
any of his
Oh.
nice like doesn't
Yeah.
constantly looks totally bedraggled because he just
so
doesn't
I've-
trust the money.
I've written down some of his like shorts and poems that he's like done.
I love that.
So one is Hellhound in Washington. Old
I don't think that sold particularly well.
that was a start. There's one called Old Scratch. And Morning Shadows.
I think Morning Shadows. That feels like a poem. Am I correct in that assumption?
Spelt
I think Morning
sad.
Shadows was
spelled sad.
spelled sad.
Not like good morning, like
Yeah,
morning.
Yeah, morning.
A morning.
I think that might be your most popular work. It's the one that's gotten the people that live near you to at least read anything that you've mentioned to them over the many years. But things are going well, and I think Emerson, you're enjoying quite a lovely quiet night back home. And then the woods go silent because we are out in the countryside. There's no such thing as
Creaking
quiet.
the door.
Yeah.
The door creak suddenly sounds somehow even louder.
Yeah. And then you realize that Granny's not on the porch. It's too quiet.
Mama? Mama?
Nothing. Nothing happens for some time. Do you go out and look for her?
I'm out on the porch and I'm starting to like head towards the boundary of the property and
I
walk
think
my
I'd
way around the
definitely-
wards.
Yeah.
As you hear Paisley hollering and go join her.
And I think I'm familiar enough with the wards and the boundaries that I'm also like checking them.
Yeah, yeah. They're
need
all
to-
intact.
Yeah.
I'll give you that for free. I think like spotting a damaged ward that you've lived with your whole
And I
life
didn't feel any pressure on them or anything like that.
Nothing felt off, which is strange. I mean, you know, if she had left, there wouldn't be a sign necessarily.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it means that nothing came in. Everybody give me either speed or intelligence. This is to notice something that has happened quickly, which is why speed and intelligence is like a general perception sort of stat. We'll call it a difficulty 2, so you need to roll higher than a 6.
Got it. 10.
Fantastic.
Is this a meat or a
Meat beats.
meat beats? All right, that's a meat. I think.
That's a 9.
Is that a 9? Oh, great.
Even better. Kerrigan? Fantastic. You are all in different parts of the yard. And you turn almost at the same time in this bizarre dance-like motion. And as you do, you all spot the same thing at the same time. There is a large something on the porch. It looks to be a package, but it's about the size of a person. Even at this distance, you can see that there are flowers sitting atop it.
And I walked out the front
You
door.
did. It wasn't
Well-
there.
That can't be good.
I leg it between these two and the thing.
In the packet.
So I'm
Yeah.
And I go, Kerrigan, I wouldn't get too close. Just hold back for a second.
say the same to you.
Can I
I've just stood there with my hands on my hips, just like looking at it.
Weird shit.
can I like
that weird shit.
can I like, you know, cast out my senses? Can I try and perceive
Yes.
it a little bit?
Yeah, I would call that a... Yeah, I would say that's using magic. I would say that this will be intelligence, and I'd say that it would be eased one step, so we'll call it a 1.
Ease one step because I have a skill.
Yeah. So I'd say it would be a 2 because that's what seeing it from this distance was, and so we'll say it's eased by 1 step, so you only need to get a 3 or higher.
A 4.
Hey! Sometimes the dice just want to tell their own stories. You cast your senses forward, and is it a direct visual thing, like you're zooming in on it, or is it more abstract?
Extra essential.
Extra sense. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I wanna. I'm trying to feel what this is.
Yeah, I think the first thing that strikes you is you feel death, and the second thing you feel is Granny Holster.
Oh, I just run.
Yeah.
I just run up to the box.
You don't explain to the
no,
others.
I'm
You
just running.
How do you guys react?
I try to throw out an arm to stop her, but barrels
Yeah.
past.
Slams right through. Emerson.
Um,
Paisley is running for the strange package.
well, I can't really stop her. I was gonna, take a look at it some more and try and figure it out, but if she's going, I don't think I'd react in time.
Of course.
I was, standing there trying
Yeah.
to, discern the best I could what might be the best course of action.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Guess that's the course of action.
I guess.
Yeah.
Ththese frickin' witches, man.
Yeah,
Well, these
Oh,
witches.
They're an impulsive bunch. I
And
think
here, I'm the one who knows the ways. you just go on your way.
I think as you approach the package, you see that there is blood pooling at the bottom. It's a white fabric, like a bed sheet, but larger.
Linen wrapped something.
Like a shroud.
Yeah, and you notice that those flowers aren't sitting on top of. It is wrapped in vines, each tipped with a red rose.
Can I, now that I'm standing over it,
Do you stop
Can I-
before you?
I'm standing over the package now. Like, can I see what it like? Does it just look like a shrouded body wrapped in
is-
roses and?
It's not a
Vines.
body shape.
It's not a body shape.
It is
A box thing.
like a box thing, but it's lumpy. It is clear that there are, there's the blood pooling. I think you can make an educated guess that there is a body inside, and it is not in one piece.
Oh my god. I probably just collapse to my knees and start sobbing. I think that's probably all I
Well-
can manage. Because I know that it's
Yeah.
Granny Holster. Like, I don't need to open it to know.
Yes, this is one thing that you can't really fake.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's your blood in there.
Well, ain't nobody need to be opening that, looking inside now. Let's just come away, Paisley.
I'm
I move over to you and like try and get you to like move, like get up and move away. I don't think you can.
I don't think I can either.
I think Emerson, as you briefly turn away in your effort to move Paisley away, you spot something at the edge of the property. In fact, you spot 5 somethings. 5 somethings that Granny Holster mentioned to you a very long time ago. And the fact that all 5 of them are here is not a good sign.
Well, there ain't a lot of good signs.
Yeah, generally speaking, there are.
From what I've learned, there's very few good signs.
signs actually work out for me. So
You see standing at the edge a great bear, a stag larger than any you have ever seen, midnight black, its eyes glowing orange in the dark. You see a shape like a woman, made of lightning, a single pitch black eye sitting. How you didn't notice the glow before now is confusing. And beside that, a woman with a baby. And beside that, a beagle.
a beagle.
A beagle.
Wow. I pet the beagle.
They,
I do pet the beagle.
yeah, they wait just long enough for you to see them. And I think, Kerrigan, you see them now as well. Again, a woman made of lightning.
Hard to miss.
In fact, you would know that they have names. You would know that the stag is known by quite a few, but the 2 main ones are the Great Stag and the thing whose name sounds like Horned Head, but is not. You also see the Great Bear. You know that could be a potential ally. That is a guardian of the green. It's worked directly with Granny Holster in the past. Beloved Lightning is that woman shape. The woman with the baby, she never gave a name for. She always said that to name it would be to call it. The closest she ever got was the dead queen. She never liked talking about the dead queen. And the beagle you actually know from town. That's Sam the beagle. You've seen him running around with a group of children.
Right.
Yeah, for a blind beagle, he always navigated curiously well.
Well, that's Sammy. He comes, he goes.
And just as you notice them one by one, they leave. First the bear, and then the stag, then beloved Lightning, then the dead queen. The last to leave is Sam the beagle, who sits on his own in the wood and looks. And then, after staring at you for what feels like an eternity, he turns and trots away. That little beagle gait. It's hard to make a beagle scary.
Well,
And I'm just
Sobbing.
just wailing, just like gut wrenching, piercing sobs of finding your dismembered grandmother
Yeah.
on your front porch.
Yeah. Do you ever unwrap her remains, or do you bury her at?
well, I think we'll, like, someone's
I
got
think
her.
I would probably the
Um,
next day.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to.
Because I gotta check them. I gotta see.
Yeah,
I have
it's
to
one
see.
thing to know, it's another to see.
And I also have to see, you know.
I
I need to
pretty
know what's done
vehemently
this.
tell you not. Like, I think Kerrigan and I are like, will deal with it.
Yeah.
Don't, and you insist.
Yeah, I have to know what's done this.
Well, I think either we just had a nice lineup of suspects, or maybe just some honored visitors paying their respects. It's hard to say.
I mean, if Brother Bartholomew was there, I don't know what he'd be doing with the rest of them.
From what little I know, it seems more than a little odd that those five would be hanging out together. I wouldn't have expected it of Sammy.
We
He's a
all
good boy.
expect better from Sam.
He's a good boy.
Sam is a real good boy.
He's courageous and he is good.
I mean, I ain't never heard of anyone citing that lot together.
I don't trust
Not
him.
fighting anyway. I assume.
You are absolutely.
Rolling on the edge.
I think a good time for a character question. I think, Emerson, how much involvement have you had with the magic side of things?
No, like beyond, like, you know, maybe fighting off some haints in the
weird things,
woods,
yeah.
working on the railroad, stuff like that.
seeing weird things.
Stuff. I don't think I've ever seen, like, you know, he hasn't made contact with the Green or like any of these entities as a larger scale thing. It's more of the like carryover of like the just general evil things are about.
Yeah.
Emerson's sort of like
practical
power
guy.
comes more from, you know, for example, like avoiding those conflicts by being like, we should probably not be building here today because there's
something standing and
obvious
watching,
signs that we're being watched, or that there were creatures here very recently, or
even an absence.
as
of
well as
creatures
just
here
like the signs in a more esoteric sense of like omens and like there's 7 crows just alighted together on that branch.
Yeah.
Let's get the hell out of here. Like,
we'll find a diversion for the rail. Yeah.
But everyone, like, that said, the railway workers talk, and everyone's like, whether or not they've encountered it, but their cousin or their uncle or
it's always
they're
some
just a half
distance.
removed.
Yeah.
Has, you know, was
And even the railway itself is a bit weird.
A little bit weird. Yeah.
yeah.
Like weird shit happens all the time in good old alternate Appalachia. I think so I guess from you it is a bit of a guess, but it is a correct one in this instance. These creatures don't gather like this. Several of them are directly opposed to each other. I think Kerrigan, you've heard the ramblings of Granny Holster over the years, and how much of it you believed before last night, I will leave up to you.
I mean, if anything, I think particularly you might have had encounters with the Green or creatures of it.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time in the woods.
Yeah.
And I've listened to Granny's rambling enough to get a pretty good picture of what I need to be wary of out there.
Yeah, I think she rarely gave direct warnings.
Yep.
But when she did.
But she definitely gave you like several weird pouches that she told you to keep on you at all times.
God, yeah. Yeah, like some of them you even, like she said not to open them. You opened at least one and there was like a skull in there. Some little
Tie
animal
that
skull.
back up.
Yeah. Orville. I think, you are the farthest from the family. And you sit in your apartment, I assume? Is it?
It's a flat.
It's a flat. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, it's a flat. Would you like to describe the space Orville is living in?
It would be quite old. I feel like he would live close to the university. As soon as he moved to the city, he didn't move very far, but he specifically stayed away from writing or reading about Appalachian folklore and stories.
What if it comes to get you?
Yeah,
It comes for you in the night.
that's it.
Yes, you're thinking about it.
Yeah, there's
Thought crimes.
Thought crimes.
There's a clock. Everything is nicely put away so that it will never fall over for no reason at all.
If you could screw it down to the desk, you would.
Everything is screwed, glued, and weighed.
That's it. Yeah, like he's been very particular because he knows that if something falls for no reason, there's actually a reason.
Yeah.
And yeah, he likes to keep his place quite brightly lit. He always,
I was wondering.
he always sleeps with a candle.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah. I think tonight, this night, for you, it is dark and it is stormy. Rain lashes against the window, lightning cracks through the city. And you, Orville, find yourself for the first time in years feeling not quite alone in the darkness. You've taken so many precautions. You find that around 2 a.m., something falls in your apartment. Your candle blows out. And when you sit up, something places a hand on your shoulder. And that darkness that you have fled from for so many years leans forward and says, "Oh, she's finally dead. I'd be getting on home now." That hand slides away. Candle lights back up, and you are left with the incredibly sinking feeling that you do in fact need to make your way home.
as soon as the light flicks back on, he stops the clock to ward off death, more death, and he begins packing his things straight away. Lights about 20 candles.
Yeah. Gotta be safe. Gotta be safe. Like, your apartment has electricity, you've still got candles lit anyway.
Yeah.
Also, electricity bill, man. Returning home was certainly an interesting experience, where for many members of the Holster family, leaving is, a birthright. Many stay for a time, and many have left. There was points where this house housed as many as 17 people, and they all left or stayed of their own volition. For Emerson, I'm sure it was like coming home. For Orville, the house looms. It's only 2 stories, but it looms. As soon as your foot hits the edge of that driveway, it's like it just leans towards you. The trees themselves tilt in, the shadows whisper and cackle beneath your feet, and you know that none of this is literally happening. This is just surely your writer's mind twisting something familiar and unfriendly.
Yeah.
And then you notice that there's a truck out front? That's new. When did that happen? And you're seeing, there's people in the yard you don't think you ever met. These must be members of the family that have come for the funeral, and only the funeral, I'm afraid, which passes without incident.
When we do open the package, I think Paisley would do some checks and do some work-ins.
Yeah.
To try and.
What would you like to do?
Trying to do. I would like to try and see if there's any lingerings or imprints, impressions, and also down, I'm a midwife. I'm trained in in healings and medicine and stuff, to see if this was something done by hand, by beast, like
I don't think I'll
an
make you roll.
autopsy of sorts.
Yeah. I would say you've trained a long time to do things like this, and you're taking your time with it. You're not doing it under any kind of pressure. You pretty quickly find that there's not really much of an autopsy, any kind of dissection to be done here. The cause of death is as obvious as it comes. She has been torn to pieces. There are marks like claws, but not of any animal you've seen. And certainly, Kerrigan, you've seen animal wounds. You're a logger.
Yep.
You've seen axe cuts. You've seen crushed limbs from trees falling on people and things like that. It's like, between the three of you, you've seen some horrible, horrible injuries, but you've never seen anything quite like these. Magic-wise, there's something familiar around these wounds, but you couldn't place what. At the end of the day, her death is as mysterious as much of her life. A strange old woman disappeared in the night and turned up dead. These things, they happen. It's the day after the funeral. You've all begun your days, and I think, Kerrigan, it's right as you arrive on the property, having just leisurely taken your time. I mean, are your mornings normally that relaxed, or is there something special about?
No, I'm procrastinating.
Yeah.
I'm putting off what I know will be a hard day.
Yes. And I think it is harder than you could have thought. It is right as you arrive. It's funny how these things happen. You hear a car coming down, and it sounds like it wasn't really made for these kinds of roads.
Those cars aren't.
And by the time it comes into view, Emerson, you know a company car when you see one. You know a company man when you see him wipe the sweat from his brow.
Do I specifically know this company man?
Not this specific one, but you've met many like him.
Of course.
A small, sweaty man.
What the hell are they doing?
Climbs his way out of this very nice vehicle.
No, mind the red ones.
I mean,
you wouldn't tell him that.
As I say, you know for a fact he would not be able to even set foot on this property unless he was invited in. But
I mean,
hey, what about the red ones?
No, but I also equally so wouldn't want him being exploded on the property and having it anything to do with me.
I mean, I think he couldn't even drive onto the property.
Yeah,
No,
not
probably
proper.
He stops short of the boundary, that's for
Of course
damn
he
sure.
does.
And getting out beside him is the biggest motherfucker you have ever seen. Just an absolute giant of a man in a little bowler hat, the shadows of which seem to almost cover his face. He keeps it tilted low. And the two of them walk, and as they do, the short, sweaty man begins to shout towards the house.
I'm standing on the porch.
Now, excuse me there, madam on the porch. Could I have just a moment of your... moment of your time? It's been hard traveling. I do
Hold up,
apologize.
Man, you can stay right there. What business have you here?
Well,
we're in a mourning period here, you know?
yes, I'm unfortunately aware of your circumstances, Mr. Holster. I come bearing news relating to the land upon which you sit. Now, I'm sure your beloved Granny granted your ownership in some form of will or another. You guys haven't found any kind of piece of paper resembling a will.
We all nod, though.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
oh, for sure. I mean, look, if it's around, it's somewhere under a pot or something. She would have left it there years ago. And he looks at you and he says, "But I'm so sorry to have to tell you this." And he reflexively takes a step forward.
I don't think you need to be going any farther there. Sorry, what was your name?
I'm so... How terribly rude of me. My name is... Sorry?
Quite rude.
Yes, you're right. My name is Abner Moon. I am a representative of Barrow and Lock, specifically Barrow Mining, if we want to get specific. And I know, Mr. Emerson, you have your history with Lock Rail. And I just want you to know I'm not like that kind of scum. He takes another step, and this time, before you can stop him, you hear the sound of his nose break as the wards activate, and he falls flat on his ass.
We did tell you, didn't we?
Oh my god!
Oh, did you
What?
trip?
Oh!
Hey, trip there.
Yeah, you gotta watch your feet. These gravel roads can be a little bit precarious.
I think my nose is broken. The big man did not stop this in any way and just looks down at him. You can't see his face or his eyes, but there is disdain in that.
Sorry, I didn't catch your name.
I am the mood.
No, not you. You're
Your friend.
compatriot.
But my
Big boy.
compatriots. Hang on. He puts his hand up and you hear a crack. He's possibly had to do this at least once. In fact, now that he's a little bit closer, you can see there is the scar of a many
Do
times
it
broken
again.
nose. And he wipes the blood away. I'm very sorry about that. My friend here is Mr. Shade. He's a quiet and shy one, I'm afraid, and will not be speaking for the duration of this meeting. He has nothing to say.
Right.
I'm sure.
Really?
The big man flinches at that.
Well, how about you get on, tell us why you're here so you can
I'm trying, but
get your way back up them hollers
your
again?
gravel's breaking my nose. I don't think I'll be coming any closer.
Oh,
That must be for the best.
what a good idea.
I'll stop beating around the bush then. In 2 weeks, I will have ownership of this property on behalf of Barrow and Locke.
Well, no, you will not.
Oh, my dear. And he holds up a thick ream of paperwork. All I gotta do is get a magistrate's certificate, and the judge in town, well, unfortunately for us, he is a good man, so he will do it by the book, which is why I am giving you the legally required 2 weeks' notice. Once we have that signature, you see, there's not any real paperwork showing that Paig Holster ever owned this here land. And soon we'll have that proved and in writing. Now, if you're done, I'm done.
Can I walk
Yeah.
over and hold out my hand for the paperwork?
Yeah.
Yes, he gives it to you without hesitation. This is clearly, you can see it is marked copy. It is exactly as he described. It is a thick legal contract.
I start flicking through it like I'm reading it, unsure how.
Yeah. Would you like to make an intelligence roll? We'll call it a difficulty of, let's call it a...
To clarify, I'm not trying to read it. I'm trying to give the impression.
Oh,
I'm
to give
reading.
the impression? Let's call that a 3. Let's call that a 1. Target number is 3.
13.
Hey! Yeah, you flying colours.
As I stop at periodic pages, I look closer and then I tear it up and put that one down.
My good man, we were done the moment you stepped foot anywhere near this property. So you and your big boy can be on your way
I thank you for your time, Mr.
before I
Holster.
break your nose again.
I didn't quite hear that one. Would you like to repeat that?
He said before he breaks your nose again. Now I'd get gone if you know what's good for you.
Orville, where are you? You've been so quiet.
He's quietly strolling.
He's like standing in the doorway. Like,
He's under the porch.
He's under the porch. I was just sitting there. I was like, I haven't heard from Luc in a hot minute.
Oh, he's in the shade of the porch. Yeah, still there.
standing in the shadows.
The whole family came out to intimidate this one sweaty Texan.
He started it.
Oh, for sure. He huffs, audibly huffs, that you can hear from the porch, which means that he's putting some oomph in it. It's a real humph. And he turns, and for a second, Mr. Shade lingers, and then he turns back and he goes, "Come on now, Shade, I swear," and just storms back to the car. And as it drives off, Emerson, you're a technical man. You're pretty sure you hear the suspension crack.
And I go, shit. God darn that old woman. I swear. She never looked at any books or any of the paperwork, and I should have known we'd be in this mess. I should have got her to write it down. I should have got her to put it aside. She just always acted like she ain't never were gonna die.
I mean, that was Granny.
I pick the paper back up and
Dude,
walk over to Orville and
You're good with words.
Yeah, you're good with words.
thank you.
I will say that this is a difficult task. So that'll be a task difficulty of 4, so a DC of 12. If you have any way that you can ease this,
I do have.
I can give him some advice.
of course.
I also have him trained in writing.
Fantastic.
Writing.
I will, we will take that to mean in this case that, yes, we'll ease it by 1, and you're...
I will give good advice when I give another character a suggestion involving their next action. It is easy.
How uncle
like you-
is
and
that?
Now, see, the
action?
thing
Yeah.
is, you gotta read through the lines here. It's all legalese, it's all jargon. The key words you're looking for is like specifically about who owns what, where, and what claim they have to this property. Even if Granny doesn't own it, why should they?
Exactly. Do you mind getting me a dictionary just in case?
Yeah.
So
And as he
difficulty
leaves,
is
I'll
now
start.
down to 6 with that assistance.
Yeah.
Difficulty 2, target number 6.
Yep. All right. 6.
Hey, for a hot second, it's difficult, man. Like you're looking at that and you're like, I don't know law. I didn't study law.
Yeah.
I studied right, and then your uncle starts to come through, and you realize, oh, yeah, he's right. You just got to read between the lines, and yeah, this is just to establish ownership of squatted land, which means that legally, yeah, you own it until they fill this paperwork out. There's probably a couple bribes involved as well.
But also, arguably, we could fill the paperwork out.
You certainly could. It would take a hot while, though.
Yeah, we
Like, they
don't have
clearly-
an expensive legal team.
Yeah, they unfortunately
But I
clearly
might
have a
know
bit
a
of
guy.
a... Yeah, and like, definitely there is... Yeah, I think Kerrigan's instinct was right. A lot of this is bloat. In fact, the pages that Kerrigan had torn away were actually just part of a car manual. Like, you think they might have needed that.
They were definitely trying to scare us.
Yeah.
Well, so what does it mean?
Well, they say that we don't own this land and we're not living here under any particular law. But I think that's about it. Like, they can sign it, they can get it sorted, but the main thing is that they're trying to scare us with a lot of jargon and a lot of paperwork.
So basically, they don't own shit.
Yeah.
But we don't own shit either.
I thought squatters, as long as they didn't leave the land.
Yeah, it depends.
And
depends
there
where you
has
are.
been consistent occupation of this
Yes.
land going back a very, very
Years.
long time.
But,
and of
but
course,
we've
this is...
been looking at. Does that not mean that we own it? We've been looking after it.
Well, the thing is, they don't have any proof in town. So we either got to find proof.
On a piece of paper, it could just look like, outhouse on a block of land.
Well, I don't know anyone who lived here before Granny.
To be honest, I don't know if
Remember
anything
that one.
lived there before Granny.
I don't know many things that have lived before Granny. So I do know a lawyer in town who could maybe help us out, but I imagine we're not going to get this paperwork in any faster than
Well, we got
those company
what
men.
they say 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
They got 2 weeks.
We can fill out some paper in 2 weeks. I don't, it can't be that hard. They did it. This man seems like an idiot.
Cue training video of us learning how to write.
I'm literally going to be like, my dear, you cannot write.
Right?
You can.
How much can you write?
I can
How many
read
words?
and write. I can certainly read.
yeah.
The solid thing is we probably need proof, like maybe a deed of the land, like something of writing.
Our blood is in this land.
Quite literally now,
every
yeah.
single baby in this family has been born on this land. Where, if that's not a deed of ownership, I don't know what is.
Well, something in writing usually is the thing. So
Yeah, something in writing. Take
I mean, if
writing
Granny
and
had, like-
shove it.
If she had like a diary entry that's
Yeah.
like, July 1863, moved in.
I have.
That'd work.
I keep a journal. I could just find some old.
I mean, that's a start.
It's a start.
That's a start, but we should. I hate to say it, but we should probably
Everybody in
look for something.
everybody in town knows that this is Granny Holster's home, land, property. You go out in town and you say, "Hey, who lives in that house out in the middle of the valley?" And everyone says, "Granny Holster." Ain't that proof?
I mean, actually not a bad plan.
Can
If we got a bunch of people in town to verify that they know this land was owned by her, that's effectively like a writ of signature from a bunch of people. of being like, we say this is true.
We helped how many families deliver their babies, care for their sick. You know, this town owes us. This, at least. Not losing our home.
Kerrigan built half the damn town for the last 40 years, so...
I slap the door and it goes.
I think like you slap it and you just hear like it is.
Sounds like
and
home.
somewhere distant in the house you hear as that floorboard, that fucking floorboard
Just calls out.
yeah.
Should
Well,
we
I don't know. Maybe
start
there's
looking?
something here.
I guess so.
Yeah, there might be, Granny Holster was a lady who, certainly when she prepared ahead, fuck did she prepare ahead. It could well be that there is just a piece of paper underneath a book somewhere in this house that hasn't been moved in 10 years.
That'd be a start. Having a look around the place. I know it's
Yeah.
full of shit, but
Well, maybe you could go into town and talk to your lawyer friend and see if they could give us a hand with anything. And we can have a look around here.
see if I can't get some of those signatures either.
Yeah, see if there's anyone in town who will vouch for us.
We better check with the magistrate as well.
Well, maybe you two fellas go into town and Kerrigan and I can look around the house.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
The Holster truck was at one point a shiny and new thing. Of course, driving down dusty roads, being used for general land work, and the nearby presence of Kerrigan has turned it into a scratched up, beaten in. It's a shaky panel.
I fix it too. I damage it.
Oh, it runs perfect.
It runs perfect. It looks
purrs
disgusting.
purrs like a kitten.
It was
Looks
okay.
like shit.
Yeah, when you got it, it was blue. It is now a mix of browns and scratch color.
As we're getting to our car, go, come along, Gilgamesh, and run to the litter, black and white border collie joins us.
There we go.
Because I've got
Little Gilgamesh.
yeah,
Sam has a new best friend.
yeah. He's definitely
had
like
him.
a little support animal.
Yeah.
Is this the first time we've met him? Did you just like sneak him up in your bag?
Oh no, he's just
whole-
been incredibly quiet, and does not yip or yelp or anything.
He just forgot that he was there.
yeah, I think he just creeps around in the shadows like Orville.
He was under the porch.
So
Yeah.
the creepy man's creepy support dog is creepy.
That's it.
How long have you had him? Like, have you had him since you were like little? Like before you were adopted?
No, I think I would have gotten him in the city.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
he's
that's-
a relatively young
yeah.
dog.
Did we actually say that Orville is my adopted brother?
Yes.
Orville.
Yes.
Orville's family died under horrible and mysterious circumstances and was adopted by Granny Holster.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
And Emerson is Paisley's uncle.
Yes.
And Kerrigan
I
is
just hang out.
is a family
Friend.
friend.
At this
Yeah.
point.
Long-term family friend.
Yeah, it is possible. I think it was mentioned very briefly at the very top, so I think it's definitely a good
Yeah.
good chance to refresh. Yeah, your beloved hound
Gilgamesh.
rushes ahead, and in true dog fashion, sits exactly directly in somehow both your way and your way. This very quiet dog has kind of materialized from nowhere and sat in your spot.
Really think your hound should be riding in the back, don't you think?
Yeah.
There's just not a lot of space in the cab.
Yeah.
Happy little
sorry.
dog.
Sorry. Sorry. Gilgy. Come on.
In the back.
In the back.
In the back.
Just like a point of rule thing at this, both at this table and per the text of the Old Gods of Appalachia role-playing game, no harm will come to animals. Just in case anyone,
In this moment,
With, like,
Presence of dog, immediate
this dog,
panic.
it must be in danger. I promise you, I am not. I may be all of the bad guys, but I will not kill that dog.
Okay.
So I think that the trip into town. Do you two talk? Do you catch up? What happens when Emerson and Orville are alone?
Yeah, I think in there like a sense of like just trying to be familial, but actually trying to Emerson asks like a bunch of increasingly probing questions to try and ascertain if you're okay.
Yeah.
Like to be like, what? How is the state of the boy?
Yeah.
Because Emerson's always been pretty worried about Orville and his shadows, effectively, ever since the incident.
Yeah.
And so,
We're
it's
dropping
like,
a lot of lore, lads.
it's like, how you been, boy? And you're like, I think it's that classic like distant relation thing where you
Yeah,
like
like, haven't seen
ask
you in
a
some
question,
time.
short response.
Yeah,
Ask a
it's like,
question, short response.
good,
So
thanks.
Emerson's trying to, as friendly as possible, get as much information about your life as possible.
I feel like is there?
But I
any,
think
like,
we would have also caught up by now because you've been around for a couple of days. Like,
Yeah.
It's been sad circumstances, but
Yeah, there's certainly been time to not make up lost time, but certainly catch up on it.
Emerson's one of those people who, in times of like stress, just does the like business as usual, keep on a happy face. Just because working in a railway for a really long time, someone gets a spike through their leg, you're like,
Well,
it's all good, guys.
look,
Like,
guys, don't freak out.
don't freak out.
Yeah.
Yes, you can still hear him screaming.
I think
Don't
just like
run away.
just from like the rambling about like the time, I think Orville would say something strange like, "Nothing spitting on a baby won't solve. For good luck on a newborn baby."
Supposed to spit on. You're supposed to spit on a baby. It's good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
great.
It's a good luck
Yeah.
thing. It is very funny to mention completely unprompted.
Rand said it's good luck to spit on a newborn baby.
I feel like as I keep asking you these questions, and then you ask me like one question about like how's work, and I just like
Clam the fuck up.
like,
Oh,
no, not the opposite.
Later.
Just start like
too much.
just
Yeah.
start bitching, like
Oh yeah,
yeah.
but
Pete
Orville's like, "Thank
Davo
God,
and-
no more questions for me."
Yeah.
Well, because you left your job, you got fired.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would all be like, it'd be along the lines of like, oh, they really screwed me over, like, barely have any friends left, they don't know what they're doing, messing around, like trying to build those railways where they're building them, it's gotten too far into the woods, and like, just like all of the problems that he had with leaving that job, and he's just like, but he'll do that to anyone that asks, because it's also part of working as trying to unionize people, is being like, yeah, fuck those
You'll not
guys.
believe the way in which I specifically was screwed over. I think I love that. I think that definitely occupies the entire drive to town.
Yeah.
Which, like,
Oh, yeah.
it's like these are not
Like 60% at
fast
least.
vehicles. Their top speed would have been 15 kilometers an hour.
Just chugging
But
along.
again, you're not exactly going on paved roads either, so it's slower than that too.
Oh, yeah.
It's faster than walking, but
About 15 miles an hour.
yeah, 50
More
miles.
like
sorry.
35.
You're right. I'm so sorry. I'm too Australian for this gig. But yes, it's certainly, yeah. You can get some speed if you actually. Who's driving? Great question.
Me.
Yeah. Do you as you're like talking through your work issues, let's call them, do you start accelerating?
That would be unsafe.
That'd be extremely unsafe.
Safety dad over here.
Safety dad.
Safety uncle.
Safety uncle.
You don't work on a railway without prioritizing safety.
No.
You also don't.
I mean, you
work-
don't.
Yeah,
you don't work on
You also
a railway
don't
without
go work
prioritizing
for a
safety.
union unless you care about safety.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think also
You also don't live in a town that is constantly attacked by creatures of darkness without considering safety.
yeah. I think also like even just belonging to a union is dangerous in this era, for sure. Even beyond that, like you've heard about mining unions where just one morning their heads were found mounted on spikes atop the local church. Like weird shit happens. And so like union membership is something that you can be loud about as long as you're very careful about who, and that's maybe what sort of started you down the path of being fired. One guy shouting about unionizing, you fire him. A whole crew, well, now you got to deal with the whole crew.
Yeah.
Baker's Gap is not a company town.
It is not a company town.
Yeah.
There are certainly many company towns around. Sometimes, they pop up, they disappear, that kind of thing. Quite famously, Barlow, not that far from, as the crow flies. Barlow
think she'd do
disappeared.
that.
The station was closed in 1917.
Yeah.
The town just vanished. That was a full barrow mining town. In fact, another example of a company town that is absolutely, undisputably a company town is Barrow, which is where your brother Cletus went for work.
Haven't heard from him in 3 years.
3 years.
Whatever happened to that guy?
You never quite found out.
And he didn't
Like
turn
he
up for
wrote,
the funeral
he
neither.
wrote letters, and it was Cletus. The letters were always incredibly, perhaps slightly too detailed at times. He was a boy who cared, then he just stopped.
Do we have time for 2 mysteries?
I will
We
do
got
that.
3 mysteries.
What's the third
3.
mystery?
They're taking the house.
Granny.
How did Granny die, and why, and who?
And where's my brother?
And where is the missing
Oh
Holster
no, they're on to
child?
me.
Most importantly, what is Sam's deal?
Yeah, what's
What is
going on with
Sam's-
that beagle?
Yeah, what is... I mean, hey,
Which
you're ahead.
I think we'll focus on specifically,
Not the beagle.
not anything else. No.
Yeah, no, just the beagle. This is now a beagle show about beagles, and more beagles. Alrighty.
So we're going to
Yes,
town.
so you guys are heading into town. Back at the house, what are... Girls' night in, what's going on? Except it's the middle of the day.
You know.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a moment of like, I've come in from the porch, like, and fucking men send the boys off. I gotta turn around and like stand in the front door, and it's like, like tunnel vision, like expansion of just
Yeah.
like how much stuff is in here.
I think, yeah, the sun, like, you've lived on
It's
this
like,
clutter.
"Wee-oh."
Yeah, you've lived along this clutter for decades.
Yeah.
It's like, when you're in it, you're like, I know where that is. Like, I know where I put that mug. I know where Granny put, like, that shoebox of
book,
money
the
that I'm not supposed to
thing.
know about.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, suddenly to be looking for a thing that you didn't know could exist until it was mentioned to you, yeah, that tunnel vision expands and you start to realize that there are notes and pages and
Scribblings
books
and
and
books,
scribblings.
yeah.
Like, yes, she absolutely kept a ledger, which she used to help teach you, and that's about as organized as she ever got. She despised, like, if she, God forbid, she caught you tidying, like everything in its place.
Dustin is bad luck.
Yeah, which you're pretty sure was bullshit and just a thing that she said. Certainly, yeah, like there were things that were like, okay, that's an old wives' tale, and then there were things that were like, okay, Granny's just being lazy. But yeah, she did not like when you moved things because she knew where it was. Therefore, you should know where it was, and you shouldn't need to put that book away because that's weighing down that piece of paper that has next week's grocery list on it, and you should know that. You've been here your whole life, Paisley. Paisley.
I'm sorry, Mama.
I think Kerrigan, on the other hand, you would be intimately aware of just how cluttered and messy this house is.
This house is a nightmare. I own 3 things.
It's a mug, a bowl, and a spoon.
A hammock, a book I can't read, a compass. I also have a kid's wagon, which is fun.
That is true.
And $2.
And $2.
So
I love it.
I'm going to need you to write some keywords down on a piece of paper, and I'm going to take that piece of paper with me as I'm going through things and be like, do these match? I kind of know my letters, and I'm learning to read.
You can definitely play memory
Whoopsie.
game.
Yeah.
I feel like I should have stuck around here.
Yeah,
Maybe you should have come into town.
How far into the trip do you get before you remember that these two aren't great at reading?
Read fine, thank you very
fine.
much.
I'm doing my best.
That's true. That's true.
However, I can also read great, and I also am skilled in perceptive actions.
True.
'Cause I'm sharp-eyed.
In which case, I think it's a good time for a roll.
I'd love to roll some things.
That would be, intellect. We would call, I'm looking at the chart and my eyes keep going to the word intimidating. Given just the sheer amount of sprawl here, I would say that would be I think a difficulty 6, an intimidating task. I will
So it would be a
18.
difficulty 5 because I'm skilled in perceptive
correct,
actions.
which would be
15.
15.
15. And I would also like to spend some effort, which would only reduce my intellect pool by 2 because I have an edge
Correct.
in intellect. So that would make it a difficulty 4.
4. So 12 or higher.
Come on. 16.
Hey! For a hot second. It takes a while. Kerrigan, what do you want to roll? Auto failing? What are we doing over here?
It's a 6, you said?
Yes.
I am actually...
Yes, an 18.
18, yes. I'm quite perceptive as well,
Oh, cool.
apparently,
Fantastic.
which is wild.
Cool. So that becomes a 15.
I don't have a lot of intelligence to throw around, so I might just do my
roll.
best right now
Yeah,
and hope.
go for it.
Yeah.
15 or higher.
17.
Hey!
Ebony's buzzwords, piece of paper.
Killing it.
Yeah. Like with that additional
Yeah.
assistance, suddenly it's so much easier.
Yep.
Last will, testament. and it takes a while. You find 2 copies of the same thing.
Either end of the house at the same time.
Yeah,
both
like-
go,
No,
Yeah.
one says last will, the other one says
Says
testament,
testament.
and you put them together and they exactly
What?
line
Like
up.
the scene glows magically.
Thank you, Tyler, because I totally didn't think of that. No, that would be silly, and we are serious here. No. But yes, you find 2 copies. It's almost like she didn't trust you to actually find it if she left it where it was.
I see that.
And I think we will save that for when the others return for what is contained within the last will and testament of Granny Paig Holster.
Suspense.
Suspense. Oh.
I start fixing lunch.
Yeah.
Because the boys will be hungry when they get back.
They could be gone for a while, and
me.
you know.
I'm right here. I'm making tea.
Yeah.
You have English heritage. You're really into tea.
Alrighty.
All right, I'm going to do some big moves.
Of course. Big moves. We love big moves. I love big moves. Make some big moves.
So we get to town. We're going to pull up fairly centrally. And given that internally Emerson's like, really, I know we need to solve this problem, but he's more interested in figuring out what happened to Granny. So he's like, what's going to be the fastest way to achieve what we're here for? And so even before going to the see his lawyer friend, I am going to use Hear Me Now, which I believe will allow me to effectively, I can address a group of people and give them a suggestion or a command.
Yeah, there's definitely a few people out and about today.
So I am going to effectively, I'm going to get a little soapbox and set it up.
Getting on a soapbox.
My good, fair people of crap, what's the town?
Baker's Gap.
Of Baker's Gap. It has recently come to my attention that some company men have decided to make a move on mine and my family's homestead. Now, you know these weasels, and you know them well. And I go, it's like,
Fuck
see, it starts
them.
to go on a diatribe of being like, these guys are always underhanded and just like slowly gather more and more people before divesting into being like, so today, what I need from y'all is, if you knew Granny Holster, rest in peace, and you knew
Oh,
where
crap, just, like,
her
solemnly
homestead
nods.
was and that she lived up there in the hollers, if you would happily sign this piece of paper indicating that you are aware of this and that she has resided there for longer than any of us can remember, then I think that will go some ways to us stopping the company from seizing our assets, as they are attempted to do so illegally.
That was brilliant. I would say you gather a sizable crowd. Let's say about 25 people.
All right, so I am trained in persuasion and intimidation about topics that relate to the community.
Correct.
I'm also already trained in persuasion, so I will actually be specialized in this task specifically.
Absolutely incredible.
Talking
Give
to
me
the people
2
of the
easement on
town.
whatever you deem.
Alrighty, I will say. I think I'll keep the DC a secret because you don't know how many
I
people
love
you're
that.
gathering. I will say that in this instance, I think it's more interesting that a failure is not a total failure. It will just mean you get less people. So, all right, 2 easements.
Yep.
Go for it.
It's a 1.
You're the funniest shit. In this system, a natural 1 means that I get to do a GM intrusion, but you
yes!
don't get any experience for it. You start to call out, and a crowd does begin
Yeah,
to
this
gather.
will go good.
And they're nodding their head, and they solemnly nod in the right spots.
You know, Granny
And
Holster
then-
delivered like most of the people in this town.
And then you see over the top of this crowd, even over the top of the tallest man in that crowd, you see a bowler hat. And you hear, well, ham, if I do mind.
Y'all hear anything? I didn't feel
Now,
like...
Mr. Holster, I know you to
sure
be
is airish
a,
tonight, I tell you what.
frankly, frustrating man, but I don't know you to be a particularly rude one. Talking about a man behind his back. What shall I say?
Sir, I do not think that me standing here in the town square speaking openly
Speaking
constitutes-
ill of my
constitutes
name,
speaking
sir.
behind y'all back. And you made the decisions that you made in order to set about this sequence of events. So if you take chagrin, sir,
And I do take chagrin,
and I
sir.
do, sir.
While the argument is happening, Orville's like going around the crowd like, would you like to sign the statement?
Alrighty.
Yes.
Okay. Give me speed to see
good.
how quickly or how sneakily you can do this. We will say, look, there's a crowd gathered. His attention is on Emerson. I will say that this is only a task difficulty of 3.
Okay, so that's times 3.
9.
And if you nat 1, it'll be the funniest thing. Like,
Oh my god! I,
we're
can't
dead.
believe. Oh my god!
I know, I can't believe
it
that
was gonna
either.
happen eventually.
You
I'm
are
waiting for
a
one of you all
small
to
weaselly
nat
man.
20.
Natural 20.
Speak to the dice and
This
they shall
is
reward you.
the wildest thing.
This is absolutely incredible. So what happens on a nat 20 in this system is that a major effect occurs. So these are basically just something great and incredibly, like, just fortuitous occurs here. And the easy one to say would be that you get signatures. I would say that it will happen.
given.
That's a
You've
given. You've
succeeded.
succeeded. You receive signatures and you are so fucking sneaky about it. I think
Now
where
you just
If you take chagrin,
I think where it starts to get miraculous is like you pass directly in front of Shade, and he looks at you, and
It's like you're shadowed.
and he just shrugs, and he looks back up, and then he grabs Abner by the collar, and he leans down as if to whisper that you hear nothing, and Abner goes red in the face, redder than he already was, like bordering on purple. And he shuts up mid-sentence. He is mid-cussing you out. And he just harumphs. And he turns. And he visibly tantrum stomps away. Like, he is slamming his feet into the ground as he walks, his crappy little company boots, the polish coming off somewhat as he kicks a rock.
Where
well,
are you
folks,
going?
looks like he changed his mind, wouldn't you know?
Now see! And then he just gets grabbed.
Inconsistency from company man, isn't that what we've come to expect?
And just like that, the problem resolves itself quite miraculously. And I will also say, on top of that, just stacking into the major effect, you see a group of kids followed by a very good beagle just at the edge of the crowd.
I should have gone to town.
And I love that. Yeah,
We
you
just
have...
talk to this beagle for all he knows.
Yeah.
So, Emerson, you
I'm
have...
100% sure there's abilities in this that let you speak to animals and none
Oh,
of
none
us
of
have
us
them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good.
You have your crowd. I will say that that nat 20 was pretty miraculous. I will say that you have your crowd. You don't have Emerson distracting you.
I'm Emerson.
You know that any kind. You're right. I'm so sorry, Abner. You don't have Abner distracting you or causing any kind of ruckus. And it looked like he kind of got dragged away to like a nearby bar.
I just continue that diatribe. And thank you, everyone who has given us signatures today. Hopefully, this will go a long way to helping us retain our homestead. And I owe all of you a tall mug of beer.
Whole crowd cheers, and they all turn to the bar, and they turn back and look at you.
Oh, now?
It's a thirsty time we live in.
How many people are...
Would you like me to roll?
Go on.
Let's say we'll do a D100.
Great.
Oh,
24.
The crowd forms into a line and
Yeah,
they
yeah.
start
Yeah.
doling out
Pen
a buck
out.
each.
Yeah.
And then we will probably head off to speak to my lawyer friend.
Yes. You,
beagle.
Orville, you sounded like you had something you wanted to do.
I wanted to check the magistrate. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say they're probably in the same area. Court is in session today, so the magistrate and your lawyer friend will be in the same building, in that there is one court in town. It's very small. The magistrate is an old man. like, not rivaling Granny in age, but, like, you're pretty sure he was here when the town was established. Like, there's one painting of a magistrate on the wall, and it's
Never
him.
been reported.
And it's him.
It is him. Like, much. Actually, not much younger. You're not... It's a weird
looks about
painting.
Weirdly, not that much younger.
Yeah. But yes, your lawyer friend is actually talking to the magistrate as you make your approach. What do you do?
Oh there, fellas.
Hello there, Emerson.
Just don't mean to be no bother. Just as a sort of friendly visit, but I do have a little bit of business, as long as I'm not interrupting here.
Oh, not at all, not at all. We're just discussing some minor case matter related to town
Something.
drunk. Well, I'll be honest with you. It's whether or not we'll bother locking him up anymore. And the magistrate just puts his head in his hands and just says,
At this point, it's probably just a waste of money, right?
it's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of my resources. I swear the sheriff does it for fun at this point. And I just don't know if I'm about that anymore.
Well, speaking of wasting resources, I actually might be able to alleviate a bit of load on you.
Abner Moon got to you.
Yeah, he popped by this morning. Delivered us a big sheath of documents.
I swear it was not that big when I saw him yesterday.
No, it was padded out a bit. I think he was an attempt by Abner to intimidate us.
And yeah, the only intimidating thing about him is that man next to him.
So I just thought I'd come visit you. The lawyer's name is
Myrtle.
Yeah, I love it. First lady lawyer. Yeah.
This lady Lord.
Myrtle, let's call her Myrtle Greenshaw.
I thought I'd come see you, Myrtle, see if you could take a look over this. We've had a look, and it looks like they're trying to claim through some sort of seizure of a land they claim to only be owned by light squatters' rights. We're building a case to say that we've, Granny lived on that homestead all her life, and who knows how long that was. So
Yeah.
we're just. I want to come speak to you both and
Yeah.
be like, just to let you know, we will be disputing their claims.
Of course. Look, I'll be honest with you, Emerson and Magistrate, if you could just like turn around, plug your ears for a second. And he just goes, I miss all the fun shit. And he toddles away. Which Orville, if you'd like to speak to him, that's, yeah. And she leans in and she says, you could go the legal route, but a little rough and tumble. He's just one company guy. They go missing all the time.
He is just one company guy, but he's got a very big fella he travels around with.
Fair point. Hey, maybe he's agreeable. I don't know him.
Kerrigan's the toughest lady I ever met, but I think he might even give her a run for his money. But if it comes to it, that will be our route. But
I
just like to keep things civil,
Yeah,
Myrtle.
look, I know you like to go on the straight and
Can't
narrow,
just go
Emerson, but
plucking out eyeballs every time.
hey, a little rough and rowdy. Okay, a little rough and rowdy has hurt a lot
of people, Myrtle.
A little rough and rowdy ain't hurt no one that didn't need to be hurt quite something awful. I'm just saying, it's faster sometimes to deal with things the old country way. And look, I'm not opposed to it. It's just they're barrow and lock, Emerson. Their money is bottomless.
Absolutely. And look, I don't expect you to represent us.
Oh, I ain't going anywhere near your family.
Yeah.
Not legally. Not after what you did when you was young.
Look, that's fair deuces there, I'd say, but I'm not asking for that. I wanted to see if you could check over these papers, just make sure they're legit.
Good and proper. Yeah,
That's all I need from
yeah,
you.
more homework for me. Yeah, sure, Emerson. Look, I'm not going to say no to it. I'm just saying.
Beer
You ought to
for
remember
you.
that time Kerrigan and I came round and hauled that boulder out the back of your yard, clear up your good farmland.
All right,
Remember?
Emerson. All
Yeah,
right, see, we're bringing up the power. All right. I'll do it. If I find anything iffy about any of it, and I don't doubt that palms have been greased, it may not have been here, it may have been somebody else. I'm not going to make a massive stink, though. I'm doing this as quietly as possible.
No.
I need barrow less than you do. You know that.
Well, I appreciate your help.
And I thank you for your time, Emerson. I mean, hey, next time you burn down the hardware store, I'll be right by your side.
You know that was an accident, as the court's well proved.
Yep, because of my damn hard work.
Well, just send a telegram once you've had a chance to look through it.
That I
We got
will.
2 weeks before they claim they're going to be taking the place. So.
Plenty of time. I'm sure I can find something that'll help you. All right, I'll do that. And look, I should get back to the magistrate. He's wandered off with Orville, and I'll be frank, I don't trust either of them to wander. I gotta get that old man home.
So Orville will be just asking, like, so what do they need to get it signed? What do we need to make sure that you don't sign it? And how much are they paying you?
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
All right. Oh, I mean, yeah, you
Right,
were,
accuse them of bribery?
you were always a
I've got it.
forward lad.
I've got it written down. It helps.
Okay. All right. Let me take that one at a time. Firstly, what do they need? What they need is my signature to prove that that everything's hunky dory, and you know, I may be getting a bit on in my years, but and I'm not quite as sharp as I used to be, but I'm not an idiot. I know how long your family's been there, and I'm going to drag this out as long as possible. They'll have to drag me into that courtroom kicking and screaming. In fact, you know, I got a little holiday coming up that I might just move forward a little bit. Might go fishing in the reservoir. I'm just saying that things can... The wheels of justice turn mighty slow, Orville.
Very rusty.
I told them 2 weeks because I can't be fucked to do it right now. I could have signed it today. Realistically, there's very little stopping it. But I like your family, and your granny was good to us. So, I will be good to you. In terms of what you need, I would need a deed. Or any kind of record to show that the land was ever legally transferred to her name. I know that'll be mighty hard, given just who Granny was. And not to speak ill of the dead, but she was really opposed to the legal system just as a concept. I mean,
That ain't speaking ill.
I think at that he laughs. He does very much. He starts laughing and then coughing, and then you have to pat him on the back a little bit.
Marta looks over very stressed.
Yeah, like it just mid sentence, like I know I didn't mention it then, but her head just whips around like an owl. And in terms of have they greased my palm, I am a good magistrate. And you don't stay a good magistrate without accepting a couple bribes here and there over the years. Nobody's listening in, and if they are, I'd hope you'd tell me. I did not take any bribes. Company money is dirty money. It's no good around here. To be perfectly frank with you, I found that Abner fellow to be disagreeable, stupid, and to smell bad, if we're being really completely honest. He likes to stand close, and he's always sweating.
Bilious.
Bilious, oh yes. A bilious gent if ever I saw one. And further to that, and I think
And another thing.
I think it's like, I think your conversation went on for a while, like long enough for them to like walk out of view, and I think he just unloads. Like you're getting, this is an old man who is just so like,
This has turned into an old man vent simulator.
I will. Orville will tactically like lead him around in circles. to come back.
It's like, you know you're coming back, but like, does Emerson? Your faithful hound trailing at your heels. And I think
We pack up, we go home.
You head home.
Flash forward.
Yeah.
It's lunchtime.
Yeah. What did you make for lunch?
I think we got cornbread, we got ham hock, green beans, we got all sorts.
Good spread.
Oh yeah, we got.
I mean, you were
a lot of
cooking
the
for
old
you found
classics.
that. I'll say, you found the will
We found it
really
real
fucking
quick.
Like they were gone and you found it.
Yeah, we got some nice fresh squash from the garden.
You come back to...
You drive up the drive and it smells good.
Yeah, you come back to a very triumphant and very self-satisfied Paisley and a very happy Kerrigan. And some very cold tea, because I believe you started making tea at the same time that lunch started getting made.
Oh, I drank it and then I made some
Oh,
more.
good.
There's always
Fantastic.
tea.
Yeah. Oh, we love a good
Addiction
cuppa.
is a terrible thing.
All right. Call me out.
Just that little bit of caffeine.
Yeah. So yeah, you guys sit down to lunch, and 2 wills are produced. Now, I want you to understand, if you're reading this, means I'm dead. Unless you found it and I'm still alive, in which case we're going to have a very, very uncomfortable conversation. I'm writing this a little bit in advance. I know that I am going to die. And I know that I'm going to die somewhere around 1938. Sometimes the green gives you a little bit of premonition, and my death would appear to be a terrible one. So this will is not going to be anything fancy, and I ain't getting it notarized. That bit is just written in caps. Fuck that magistrate and fuck his family.
He likes you.
I never said she liked him back. To my darling Emerson. That's me. I gift you the gift of sleep. A small working called Sleep Now. I know that you're not a man of violence, and this should help you solve some things a little bit gentler.
Nice.
I also grant you a house.
Nice.
What?
My
And I go,
dearest and most trustworthy Kerrigan. You've been by my side for a very long time. You're a good gardener and handy person, and I'm just telling you right now, you're not getting that door fixed and you're not fixing that radio. I'm sorry, but they're better broken. I promise it wasn't me that were breaking them behind your back. They're just kind of like that. I learned very, very long time ago that some things are meant to be broken. And you don't have to fix everything. I grant to you a come astray. And now I have to remember what a come astray is.
I have it. It's a gourd with a candle in it.
Mm-hmm.
It can burn for 10 minutes, and all spirits within a couple of kilometres will be drawn in to stare at the fire.
I know that some nights you live alone out there, and you get... I
Thought you could use some ghosts.
thought you could... I know people aren't your thing, so I thought maybe it'll help you see those you love again if they're nearby. Alternatively, if you just need a fuckload of ghosts at short notice. To Paisley, my dearest, and then it just says the word great a bunch, granddaughter. You've learned well, and you will do great things for this community. You'll probably do more good than I did, and I know that's saying something, not to toot me own horn or nothing. I grant you a charm of strength. In a time of need, you might just need it. Of course, sometimes you just want to wallop someone extra hard. I also grant you a Midsummer's bundle. It's a bouquet of Feverview and Lemon Balm, picked with the left hand, usually tied with a bright yellow ribbon. You've seen that bundle sitting on the windowsill for just a good 3 to 4 years. Yeah. It'll help you if you're healing, whether that be yourself or someone else in need. I'm sure you'll use it well, and you'll be smart about it. You always were the cleverest one in this family. I also grant you ownership of the house. And because I ran out of space to correct it, Kerrigan, you also have ownership of the house. I think you see what I'm going. I'm covering me bases. Orville, my scared little lad. I've worried about you since the day you came to this family, and I've never been one to turn away astray. But you, my boy, have come from danger and will continue to live in danger. It is all right to be afraid. What's not all right is to be feckin' helpless. I'm granting you a witch ball. You'll find it in me old bedroom, hidden under the mattress. I made it a very long time ago, and I'll be honest, I don't remember what it does exactly. But I do remember that it explodes. So don't feckin' throw it at your sister. Throw it at something that you want to be dead and to stay dead, or be gone and to stay gone. Just be careful with it all, Orville. If we lose Kerrigan, this house will fall apart in a matter of days. If we lose Emerson, you'll fight, and we can't be having that. And if we lose Paisley, I'll haunt you. You hear that, boy? If anything happens to your sister, I'll haunt you. And then you see there's a note for Cletus. Nothing is left to him. It just says, Cletus, me wandering lost boy. I loved you from the day you were born, and I will love you till the very end. And I forgive you.
Nice.
Then there is a tiny note, just a very little footnote at the very bottom. And it just says, by the way, I left you some money. It's under the floorboards in Orville's old room. I put it there because I knew he was a good lad and he wouldn't be fecking about with the floorboards. But it should be enough to keep you going for a good, all four of you, at least another year. Or, you know, if you go on some wild adventure away from here, whatever you may choose, it'll keep you going. It's good money, and I promise earned honestly.
Nice.
Granny might be lying about the earned honestly bit.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Not fussed.
Not to be buzzkill,
Cool.
but that doesn't mean Granny owned the house. It just means if she did, we now own it.
Well, we've now got a piece of paper that admits that everybody knows Granny's lived there forever, and a piece of paper that says Granny, upon passing, gives it to all of us.
Oh, mystery solved?
Maybe.
Can we go sit in the aircon then?
Yeah, we're out here.
We're done.
Sweating like a ain't no witch's holler.